Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Remenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I'm continuing my series Daily Reality with Alex. Today is 20th of June, 2023, and I'm doing this series throughout all of this year, and we are almost half of the year, and I have made already several different recordings. And today I would like to continue how I'm implementing ruling my own reality and what is impressing upon me and how I'm actually decoding the way reality works and how I'm making my own interpretations and implementation in my own personal life and experience. And this is why I would like to speak today about the reality of responsibility. It is a very important topic, and it came strongly upon my impression and my mind when I was speaking about the con artists, about the deception, and about the scams of reality, because I came to the realization that all the scams in reality are coming because we are outsourcing our responsibility. And if you want to learn more about the scams, you can go into YouTube in my previous videos, and you are going to see the reality scams, and you are going to understand why they appear, why it's not possible for us to not experience scams. And basically, the root of all the scams is that we are outsourcing and giving away our responsibility, and this creates the environment and the culture of scamming. And this is why today I would like to continue speaking about reality responsibility. First of all, in order for all of us to have responsibility, we are to have authority. And I'm just going to share my screen in order all of you to be able to see how ChatGPT is giving its impression about responsibility. I have asked, what are the 10 statements about responsibility? And you can see that accountability is the first thing that comes into this ChatGPT statements, where all the information that we as human beings are having is there. Once we have more of the artificial intelligence, we will not need so much knowledge or so much intellect in order to connect the different dots. What we will need more and more is the intuition, and to go beyond the knowledge, beyond the concrete, beyond the details, and to start understanding something which is much more important, and it is called the essence. The essence is very important because from there everything appears. And that's why, in order to understand that each of us in our own personal reality, we are to be held accountable. The only thing that it means is that we are under authority. So you see, accountability is to take ownership of our actions, decision, and their outcome. So in a sense, responsibility is for us to recognize the law of the cause and effect. And then we have reliability, being dependent and following through on commitments and obligations. This is also part of our responsible experience. And of course, we are all falling on a lot of this. Integrity, acting with honesty, ethics, and moral principles in all situations. Here is the connection to the essence, because once we realize that our essence is not something that we can possess, that all our experience in our reality is actually given to us, and we are just stewards of a lot of assets, and we are to be responsible in everything that we are holding and taking into actions, And that's why we here have the moral principles, because the moral principle, it's not only about good and evil. It's not only about not doing to others what we don't want to be done to us, but it is the connection of how the cause and effect laws of the realities are working, and it is the connection to the construct. I have a lot of reflection about the morality and why it's impossible a human being to go into decay, to go into immoral behaviors, and still to be strongly involved into impacting a reality which is beneficial for others. Because unmorality is connected with taking away, with satisfaction of our own personal desires, with taking away responsibility from our actions. Because if we had swift responsibility for our actions, and the more swift they are, there are much less movements for all of us to experience the opposite of morality. Then we have communication, adaptability, collaboration, time management, professionalism, and so on that he's giving us. And you see here again, accountability is connected with responsibility and authority. They are to go hand in hand. But of course, we have the decision-making, trust, leadership, consequence, organizational effectiveness, professionalism, delegation, ethical consideration, growth, and development. But the ChatGPT cannot understand the reality in which we are. It is only communicating the knowledge in which we are using responsibility. For me, what is important for all of us to understand that 99% we are very easily outsourcing the most fundamental parts towards which we are to be responsible. The number one responsibility that we are to have in this reality is to keep our heart. But of course, we even don't know where is our heart and what exactly is the meaning, but the broad sense of our heart, we can say, is to keep more than anything our internal world. And how are we keeping our internal world? By constantly observing and following up what is taking our attention and our focus. Are we constantly outsourcing our attention and our focus in such a way that we are outsourcing it? Let the governments, let the elite decides for us what are going to be the news of today, the news of tomorrow, the news of next year. Let the government decides for us if we are going to be poor or rich. Let the educational system decides for us what type of knowledge we are to acquire. But the more and more we are outsourcing to the elites and to the governments our own personal responsibility, the less and less of the reality rulership are we going to experience. And this is why, for me, responsibility is very important, because we are not, in a sense, responsible for everything that we are experiencing to a mentor directly. We are not in such a society where everything of my deed is to be reported to a sovereign above us. But since we are created as beings that are limitless inside, that we are experiencing limitation, still our responsibility is based on the recognition that we have been given authority over the material reality. And it comes also from the ancient books as the Bible, where it's written that God gave authority over the material world to rule it and to subdue it. And of course, we can say, okay, Alex, but isn't it only about the earth? Isn't it only about growing food or doing other things? No, we are responsible for everything and all the processes that are coming in the realm of appearances, because the realm of appearances is where our five senses are working and where our recognition and our interpretation and our meaningness and our awareness is drawing away information from. But still, we are to recognize that we are not appearance, that we are not the material part of what is seen, visible, heard, touched, sensed, smelled. But in our source, there is an essence that is in the realm of the absolutes. And there is important what is happening to us. And this is the main responsibility that we have for our own personal heart, for our own personal expressions on a daily basis. We are expressing in three ways. We are expressing our beingness, we are expressing our havingness, and we are expressing our doingness. These three things, the way we are present in the daily reality, is our own personal responsibilities. The things with which we are surrounded in our own personal reality, wealth, poorness, abundance, scarcity, is still our own personal responsibility. It's not a responsibility of my boss, of my work environment, of my country, of my elites, of the world governments, or anybody else. It's up to us based on how we are aligned in our essence to the divine and to understanding what is happening behind the scene is corresponding to the way we are expressed in reality. But Alex, can't I express in reality as a sluggish, indisciplined, person of non-responsibility and still have a very beautiful essence, and he is still wanting to have everything that the other people are having, which are much more responsible through than me? And I'm going to give you now some very interesting examples where you are going to see why through the desires we can understand to what extent we are into the responsibility and the recognizing of the vertical relationship of authority between creator and creation. Because we have two basic relationships, the above and the below, and the inner and the outer reality. And for example, the biggest thing that the human being is desiring after is the so-called fulfillment. But the moment we are striving and going towards fulfillment, we are declaring in reality that we are empty. I will give you another perspective. Instead of chasing fulfillment, why don't we start chasing emptying ourselves? So if we focus on how I am to empty myself today, how I am to give away myself today, then it's a totally different game. Then we are declaring that we are enough, that we are abundant, that we have, and that the only thing we are to do in this reality is to express our givingness away. That is why it is more blessed to be positioned as giver than to be positioned as someone that is taker. Because taking means that you are empty. Taking means that you don't have. Taking means that there is a big hole in your invisible essence that is like a black hole sucking away reality towards the thing that we can define as limitless. The problem with limitlessness that we can have limitless positive abundance, but also we can go into the limitless holes of scarcity, of emptiness, and so on and so on. That's why constantly we are to align our positioning in the realm of the invisible essence. And we are to monitor our expressions. Are we givers today? Are we emptying ourselves today through the different types, the three types of expressions? Am I emptying through giving away my presence, through giving away from my heaviness and ecosystem, and by giving away through my doingness for the benefits of others? And this is one strong part where we are to decide our positioning, because positioning is not important in the physical matter reality behind me. Positioning is important in the invisible, where no one can see. There is where we are positioned as intrinsic responsibility towards the reality. And then the second big question about reality responsibility is the problem with suffering, tribulations, and all the negative experiences that we are constantly avoiding. There are religions created that are avoiding sufferings, such as the Zen religions, and there are different techniques how all of us can constantly avoid sufferings. Of course, we can easily go into a situation where we're going to avoid all the pleasures and we are going to avoid all the sufferings because we just want to be essence. But if we just want to be, we are not expressing life. We are not expressing what is given to us through authority to rule over the material world through expression, through subduance. It's not an artificial intelligence there. It is much more deep thing that all the future artificial intelligence cannot do. It is something that is coming from the deep, from the limitlessness, and is expressed into the limitations of each of our personal reality. And that's why it's very important, how are we positioning ourselves? Are we positioning ourselves as beings of sufferings, as beings willing and eager to go under any obstacles in order not to conquer, not to defend, not to become great, but to express our essence of purity? And I remember it was 2017 or 2018 when I was hearing all the different people that were wishing a lot of nice and beautiful things to me for the new year. And then I start asking myself questions. Why no one from the beautiful people around me is not wishing to me to suffer more this year, to have more obstacles this year, to have more negative things that are going to surround me in order to be able to outgrow them, and to be able to work with my shadows if it's necessary in order to dissolve them. And then I start to realize that we, the human beings, are focusing in the external on the positive because we lack it into the realm of the invisible essence. And with this, we are constantly declaring that we are after the positive in the reality because we are declaring that there is only darkness inside of us. There is only negativeness prioritizing our invisible. And this is why, on the contrary, I'm more and more focusing upon what new challenges I am to embrace, what new obstacles are going to come before me, because then I'm not afraid from the negativeness in this reality. I'm not afraid if this reality is labeled by some as a prison to the soul, because it's our responsibility not to outsource our connection with the source towards expressing ourselves in such a way that we can dissolve, that we can transmute anything that looks like obstacles, look like negative, look like darkness in the outer reality, into and through the invisible light, the absolute purity, and can create and can start experience the real alchemy that is given to us, but it is working in a totally different way than the normal alchemists are trying to do it through transmuting material into material. And for me, these are two strong examples how I'm using my own personal responsibility. And then you can say, Alex, but we heard and we saw in the chat GPT that there is an accountability principles. And if you are not accountable, or to whom are you accountable? Who is your mentor? Who is above you? Who is the one that is giving you all this information, and who is motivating you, and who is driving you towards more and more responsibilities? Why are you willing to take all the heaviness of the external reality? We, the human beings, usually are doing the opposite. We are avoiding the hard questions of reality. We are willing someone else to sacrifice itself. And here is now the big meaning and purpose, because we cannot comprehend with the way the ego and the preservational principle of the outer reality is working, that our long-term destiny is to be sacrificial and to constantly sacrifice everything that we are in order to be long-term placed as 100% serving of the wholeness, serving for the others. We are on a road where our preservational principle, our egoistic willingness to express the who I am, is not going to be the long-term end goal, because the long-term end goal for all of us, according to me and my own personal exploration, and I cannot see any other meaning but to become a sacrificial part, where we are not actually dying sacrificially, but we are living in 100% sacrificial state for the connectedness, for the wholeness, for the benefits of all that we are willing to envision as reality. Because, of course, all of us can say, Alex, today things are not as all of us are wishing to. The hopium is 100% obsessing us all the time because we see that the reality is not what we were expecting. Reality is not subduing to us. So how are we to rule it? How are we to subdue reality? Maybe if we go by force, maybe if we go by power, maybe if we are starting to bend reality, if we start manipulating the physical matter reality in order to decide which one of us is going to be the conqueror of everything and all the others are going to subdue under this utopian principle of creation of the kingdom of the human beings on earth in such a harmony and dystopian reality where everything looks like in order but empty through and without the essence. And in conclusion, I'm going to finalize that our biggest responsibility is the vertical one. How are we daily aligning with the source? Because there are two knowingness that are separating everything in reality. The first one, because of which the human beings fell into this reality that we are now experiencing, is the desire to know good and evil. The moment we are going after knowledge, we are expressing in reality that we are ignorant, that we are empty, and so on. So we swift it from the no necessity to know because we were 100% essence expressing through oblivion everything that we could ever wish, desire, and so on. But after hunting and deciding to go after the first knowingness, the knowingness of the material appearances, and to understand the good and evil, to understand the duality, to understand and to know and to experience the in-between through which we are returning back. But anyhow, the other knowingness, the moment we are already into dispositioned falling of ourselves, and I'm speaking in this way because I'm 100% and constantly exploring Christianity because I personally am a Christian, maybe not in all the definitions that a lot of you are thinking about, but in a sense, for me, this is a very strong understanding that from the perspective of reality, the second knowingness is, instead of going after knowingness of good and evil, going back to the knowingness of the source. In the Christian Bible, it is written to know God and to know its expression and savior. But in a sense, this is important to understand that the big knowingness is through the reality, to start knowing and to be in connection to the realm of essence and the realm of purity and the realm of the absolute. And then a lot of questions can be answered simultaneously. But anyhow, everything is revealing little by little for all of us. Of course, reality is allowing to some extent we to feel the illusion of freedom. But anyhow, we have a possibility to find out our real responsibility and purpose, and it is connected to the deepest part of our essence. So this is all for today. Enjoy your exploration, enjoy your reality, and don't worry. Responsibility is a very powerful, intrinsic force that is giving us the possibility to subdue but on the vertical level in authority, and to move the two flows from above to the below and from the inside essence towards the expression in the outer appearance of the so-called reality. So enjoy your week, enjoy your daily reality, and continue striving. Bye bye.